What? All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to Project Green Studios. My name is Dallas Lenear. I'm the executive director of Project Green, and glad to have those of you who are going to join in. I'm going to invite you now, if you are watching us on whatever platform, to share this video as we're looking forward to having a good, brief but vibrant conversation with a good friend and brother of mine, Pastor Jerry Bishop, as we talk about fathers and finance. We are on the doorstep of Father's Day, and Pastor Bishop is doing some great things through Life Quest Ministries, which he always does. And I'll let him talk about that. And then we'll connect the dots between what he's doing and what we're up to with Project Green. So let me bring in Pastor Bishop now. And again, uh, whoever's watching, would you share this on your stream? All right. Pastor Bishop, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Reverend Lanier. I appreciate the opportunity to pull over and chat.
Man, thanks for these few minutes on this beautiful afternoon. So tell us, I think LifeQuest just celebrated an anniversary in your space. Is that right? How long have you been where you are?
Well, man, praise God that on June 4th, we celebrated 12 years of occupying and owning our vast campus at 1050 Fisk. Being there, getting the campus was a miracle. Surviving for 12 years with no major gifts is another miracle. And so we're just grateful to be able to be a hub of community-based ministry in the Third Ward.
Well, man, if I can testify myself, I dare say you're doing more than surviving, but you're thriving, within the life of your ministry internally, as it were, but also as you're serving the community at large and Project Green, as well as, uh, you know, other partnerships here in our space. We're glad to be a partner with you as we occupy space in your building on a weekly basis. And we're excited to see all of the stuff that's regularly happening, like I said, within the life of the ministry, but basketball camps, community meetings. It's a vibrant place for ministry. And so right now, I know that again on the doorstep of Father's Day, you're doing some great things specifically regarding fatherhood. So why don't you tell us what you are up to and what LifeQuest is up to um, with this fatherhood series that you're doing?
Well, from the ministry standpoint, we are covering an entire month from a subject matter called Fixing Fatherhood. So every message, every meditation, every small group, the vast number of chat rooms that we have is simply centered on fixing fatherhood in every aspect, from the spiritual, economic, the emotional, the mental health aspect. We are doing it from a Christian worldview, obviously being a Christian pastor, but we're leaving no stone uncovered because many people are aware, and I'm very non-apologetic about being dogmatic about uh, if we can fix fatherhood, we can fix the vast majority of conundrums and crisis in North America. So, everything that we're doing is about fixing fatherhood this month.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, so I know you're, like you said, you're talking about it from so many different perspectives. Um, but I wanted to again kind of connect the dots between that series and who we are, Project Green being the grassroots economic empowerment network, and want to ask you this question. And I invite those who may be watching this live to join in the conversation by putting something in the chat as well. But as you've had conversations with individual fathers, or if you're talking with groups, or as you've been, speaking about this topic, how do you see finances impacting fatherhood in the lives of those fathers with whom you've been interacting through this series and just throughout your ministry?
Well, man, Reverend Lanier, this fatherhood issue has been a central item in Life Quest since our inception in 1995. I understand the throes of being a single father. What I can tell you is that the matrix shows that fathers are becoming fathers younger and younger and younger. And we all know that there is a significant economic picture to this. But I would have to say that involvement and emotional involvement, physical involvement, and economic involvement are not like 1, 2, and 3. They're all 1A, 1B, 1C. And unfortunately, systemically, they are not being addressed in that manner. Young fathers, as you know, I commend you for your work on financial literacy. But now we're the third generation into financial illiteracy, and it's so drastically impacting the millennial father and now the teenage fathers like in no other way before. They have a system that's overly aggressive about incarceration, but has little compassion about the fiscal education and the preparedness. You must have a job to have a child. You must support that child. But the flip side of that is there's very little education with mothers on the importance of keeping their father involved, even if you're not an item. As you know, through a bunch of interactions with a lot of young fathers, even more mature fathers, there's a direct disconnect in the financial piece when there's a direct disconnect in the physical piece. If they're not seeing their children, for whatever reason, we don't have to agree or disagree, they disengage financially. Catastrophic economic events for every person. The father won't get a job or can't get a job, stays underemployed. That obviously equates to economic deprivation for the child that he created.
Man, absolutely. Yeah. So, and you and I know that scripture says that where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. And so if there's a disconnect between, the father's finances and the child, there's going to be some disconnect between the heart of the father and the child as well. So it's important to keep that financial connection. Uh, so you mentioned that financial support. Um, what sort of challenges are you hearing fathers talk about as it relates to child support and and their interactions with their child, or how it impacts their fatherhood as a whole?
You know, there is a significantly more aggressive campaign on behalf of the friend of the court to enforce payment and very little activity to enforce visitation. Okay, that those have to go hand in hand. They shouldn't, but they do because one equates to the other. It relates to the other. As far as most young men they don't realize the economic meter starts running the moment a single mother may apply for some sort of Department of Human Services benefit. So they're every month it's a credit card bill with no opportunity for, they're not able to use this credit card themselves. They're incurring a debt. And then the moment that a paternity is established or they fall out, they get an active friend of the court case. Now they have these arrearages, which could be in thousands of dollars. When they go to get a job, if they already have a job, many are already underpaid. Then now they're losing up to 35% of their pay. Then they cannot take care of themselves because many are just simply unnurtured in how to maintain a job.
Yeah.
They don't know what they don't know. And we inappropriately assume an audience knows how to go to work. Untrue. They don't know how to prepare for work. The next thing you know, you're off work 30, 60, 90 days, now you have a warrant for your arrest. Now you get arrested. Maybe you get arrested while you get your new job. You go to jail for 3 days. You lose your job. More arrearages, more order to show cause. It's a vicious cycle of failure that very few entities want to talk about how to nurture both parents. Nurture on the importance of seeing no matter what, but the importance of, son, you have to maintain employment, legal employment. But there's also a narrative, an inappropriate narrative, that fathers generally are not taking care of their children.
Yeah.
I know too many single fathers that are exceptional fathers. They've learned how to go to work, how to pay, how to budget. But if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely. And the system that you just described, you you described it as a vicious cycle appropriately. And unfortunately, it seems to be this punitive cycle, right? There's no preparation for it. There's no training, even just on how to handle finances in general, but then even specifically about how all of these things can converge once you have a child. And if it's in the situation as you described, you're a single parent, and now you got friend of the court that's coming in between, and it just becomes a cacophony of errors, right? And so, um, in fact, to that end, somebody just asked a question in the chat. I'm going to ask my producer, who's off screen, to click on that and bring it up, so we can address that real quick here. Yep. So Eddie McDaniel asked a question. He said, "I hear Michigan is going to become the 10th state to require or offer financial classes in high school. Why aren't all states mandating?" So yeah, Eddie, I think we might be the 14th state. So, and I'll just say very briefly, it's actually an initiative that Project Green was working on at a very small scale. We hadn't made a lot of progress on it. So I'm not trying to take credit for where we are right now, but glad to see that the governor is signing this bill that was approved by the House and now has to go on to the Senate. Um, and it will require, I believe it's a half credit for high school students, who will be entering the eighth grade next year. Um, and so that would be phenomenal, even to address what we just talked about, just even a very basic general understanding of how to do budgeting, and then hopefully that will translate into how do you handle uh, these sort of fatherhood and finance situations as well. um, so thanks for asking that question, Eddie. Other people, if you have questions or comments, please put it in the chat. Now, but I wanted to kind of go back to what we're talking about. Unfortunately, this system, particularly friend of the court child support, seems to be punitive, and only punitive. In other words, if you're not doing things right, you get a warrant. Excuse me. Um, we we were working with someone internally who told us, because she was a mortgage officer, that she had people coming to her ready to buy a house, at least so they thought. They apply for a mortgage, and then they see they have a child support arrearage pop up on their credit report, and now that creates another hurdle that they didn't even know was out there. Um, and so one of the things I want to share with you, which we mentioned off camera, was that what many people do not know is that you can request your on-time child support payments to be reported to the credit bureau through the friend of the court, so that the system isn't just punitive, but you can actually boost your credit through your child support payments. Um, we had one person who, we're going to connect with him and we're going to talk with him live in the upcoming weeks. But he reported his child support payments to the credit bureau through Kent County friend of the court just within the last 45 days. and his credit score has gone up 100 points. And so, Bishop, had you heard about this initiative at all?
Not until I chatted with you, but there's a greater concern on the damage and the danger and the unchecked control of the friend of the court to put that on your credit report. You know, that's a self-serving component to that court only. No one can benefit from having that debt put on your credit report other than the friend of the court. There's no benefit to that, as it's not a benefit. In many cases, you'll find young people will come to you with their credit report and show there's a entry from the Kent County Jail on their credit report. You have to ask yourself why, but thank God that there's a mechanism in place. Certainly, it's not a billboard promoted item that, hey, you can get credit on your credit report for your on-time child support. Why is that not broadcast from the friend of the court? But at the same time, once again, you said punitive. Look at the measures that significantly only impact negatively the father. You know, there are hundreds of fathers that are on time and they're paying well. And now they go to get a credit report and it says, in one season of their life, I acquired this arrearage. And it looks like a demerit, even though for 7 years they've been paying on time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I want to back up a little bit to talking about whether it's a benefit or not. So, I think as it stands, the friend of the court tends to what they will do automatically, without any request on behalf of the father or the non-custodial parent, is if you have an arrearage, they can and will put that on your credit report. So in that sense, that process is punitive. But what this new process, it's not really new. Actually, it's been a policy of theirs for many years, but very few people have done it. Almost none, frankly. Um, what this allows for that father or the non-custodial parents is to request that the payments be put on their credit report, so that you're not just punished through your credit reporting, but you're actually benefited. Um, so from that standpoint, it does help the father to boost their credit by doing what they already do. As we were talking with people at Rock the Block this past weekend, and as we have conversations in barbershops and what have you, fathers are excited, and they're like, man, I wish I had known that 10 years ago. My credit would be a lot higher. And so, so we've been pushing that as our nonprofit entity. We're grant funded. We're not in partnership. We're not directly connected to the Friends of the Court, right? We're not trying to trick people. We're just raising awareness as a part of our mission. And so I want to make sure we're going to share a link here in the chat so that people can see it. If you fill out this child support credit report request form, you will connect with us, and we'll get a form to you that, if you choose to, you can fill that out. We will send it to the Friend of the Court on your behalf, and then you will have the potential of boosting your credit score through your payments. And then, Pastor Bishop, we can talk about the details of this online, but if you are so inclined, we can equip you and your ministry so that you can share this with folks who may be coming this Sunday and upcoming Sundays, so they can hear about how to do this, as you all are talking about fixing fatherhood. So tell us a little bit more about, how they can get connected to your ministry and fixing fatherhood if they want to participate in this series.
Well, certainly. Well, let me offer one thing that we're going to be doing in July. I'm going to be hosting Next week, I'll be preparing to post a date, but we're going to be doing a workshop on parenting time and how to create parenting time orders to submit to the friend of the court. The statistics show that regular and adequate parenting time boosts consistency in payment. But rarely are young men or older men or whoever, are they appropriately trained how to schedule, how to develop their own parenting time. Typically, they accept what they're given. It's not much. It's, now they have to sculpt that. So if we're able to offer the ability to create your parenting time, submit this order to the court for approval. Of course, it has to be in concert or at least ran by the mother. There's going to be some dialogue with that. If we can create credit score awareness, visitation and parenting time model creation, at the same time create spaces in nurturing, we can fix this problem. So, number one, our fathers are better equipped to handle the economic segment of fatherhood. When the caller, the poster, Eddie McDaniel, it talked about the inclusion of this in the curriculum. It shows you how incredibly antiquated public education is, that we would wait for something that's so needy to be mandated when school districts have the ability to create their curriculum. Like we had shop classes. Those classes were adequately preparing many men and women, home economics, sewing, things like that. We were so much better prepared for life post high school. Why would we wait now for a mandate by our state to create a class that's maybe 25 years too late in the coming? Again, it's antiquated, but that's why Genesis or myself or others are involved in the change, change is because we're pushing an agenda. Now, although we're engaging fatherhood for the month of June, as a ministry that has a direct connect with men, we're carrying this out for the entire year. We started off talking about commitment. Fatherhood is in June. I'm a father. Now I'm a grandfather. Men can get connected by A, coming to worship on Sunday, our midweek, but B, connecting directly with me to get tied into events like our monthly event, Grown Men Talking. I've did 173 one-on-ones with men since September 1st. You'd be surprised, 90% of the content touches fatherhood, trauma, emotional disconnect, financial breakdowns, lack of employment. And so those are the means. I'm very accessible. People will reach me directly through my Facebook page. They can come to the building. But most importantly, connecting with LifeQuest doesn't mean you're necessarily connecting with church membership.
Right.
Connecting with LifeQuest means you're connecting potentially with a lifeline to something else in your life.
Excellent. Well, excellent, man. Well, excuse me. I just want to share one other, actually a couple other links with people, but specifically on this topic of, fatherhood and finances. I mentioned we're having conversations in barbershops. Project Green is. So we actually have a barbershop talk coming up on this coming Saturday, where Brandon Carthan, one of our grassroots financial advocates, will be at Cut Creators at 2842 Eastern Avenue from 10:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. And he'll be talking about how, again, fathers can get connected to this child support initiative. And so I hope that people will come to LifeQuest to be a part of this Fixing Fatherhood conversation. this month and beyond. Because like I know, this is a core part of your ministry, so appreciate that. If people have questions about what Project Green is up to, um, whether it's this initiative or others, you can email us at info at Project Green. Um, we're going to put that in the comments so that you'll know how to connect to us. Go to our website. You can find out more information. Uh, looks like our system inadvertently dropped off Pastor Bishop. I didn't hang up on him, but that happened earlier. So here he comes back. So let me, Pastor Bishop, looks like it dropped you off inadvertently. So I just want to thank you for joining us. We are just wrapping it up here, and look forward to ongoing partnership with you on things that you're up to as well as what we're up to. So thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure. I'm looking forward to not only connecting you with you personally, but with anybody that might be touched by the broadcast. Feel free to connect with me at LifeQuest.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So, so just to wrap that up too. So again, our barbershop talk at Cut Creators, we'll put that on the screen here for you to see. So that's this coming Saturday, 10:30 to 1:30. So feel free to be there. And we shared our contact information as well, info at projectgreengr.org, or visit our website, and we'd be happy to connect with you. So thank you all for joining on. I believe that is all that we wanted to share today. Oh, our Money Talk workshop. So we've got a Money Talk workshop event coming up this Saturday in partnership with Link, and it's an all-day event. But this is again some of the basics, some of the what we talked about, right? That would, I'm sure, be a part of the high school curriculum, the basics of budgeting and saving, and an introduction to investments and insurance. So you want to get registered for that and attend. This is an all-day version, so you come. It's a 6 hour workshop, but it's well worth it. If I do say so myself, we've got participants who will also bear testimony to that. So again, you can find that link on our website. You see some more information there on the screen. So we invite you to stay connected. There is a $10 registration deposit for the workshop because we're feeding. So we want to make sure if you register that you actually do show up. But then after you've attended, we actually refund that $10. So in essence, it doesn't cost you anything, but that $10 just holds your seat. Um, so thank you, Marquise. I see your comment there. Appreciate your connection to Project Green, and we look forward to continuing to have an impact on our community. And so with that, we'll wrap it up and hope that you all have a great weekend. Have a great Father's Day on Sunday, which is also Juneteenth. So it's just a lot of stuff going on this weekend. So stay hydrated, stay cool, and stay connected to Project Green. And we will talk with you soon.